This letter, this open letter is for Khorshid Nejad, my cousin, and my sister's children and some of their friends who might be wondering why the situation has become like this. I need to add a little more information. I need to give a little more background so people who don't understand why there is this hatred in our family towards my sister and by extension towards my father, where does this hatred come from? Here's the thing, folks. Stephen, here's the thing. Your father at an early age had Michael. As it's well known, Michael is mentally challenged. Quite bad. He's badly mentally challenged. I'm not sure if he's still alive or not. But I knew the last I knew of him, he was like 30, 35, and he was still in a really bad condition as far as being mentally challenged, and was still in an institution, not an institution, but in a caretaking facility that your father was paying, I guess, around $20,000 a year. So he would be, fed and washed and clothed and be taken care of. That's your brother Michael. Now, your father had Michael at an early age. So your father, after the initial anger and initial disappointment, he had to, reach inside himself and come up with a reason why he had children. Now that he has children, what are his responsibilities and what he has to do for his children now that he has had them, specifically in regards to Michael. Once he reached that conclusion with Michael, that he extended that conclusion. Once he realized his responsibilities towards his children, why he has had children, how he has had children, and now that they're there, what are his responsibilities, he came into a deep understanding of what are the children there for and what are his responsibilities towards them. My father hasn't never dealt with that issue. Never. Here's why I'm saying this. Obviously, Michael being taken care of for $20,000 a year in a caretaking institution. My father, his idea of taking care of his children was this. He looked at his family like a farmer, a dairy farmer, looks at his cows. Or better yet, a guy who's raising pit bulls to fight. He was looking for production, maximum production. Who can produce more? I give more to that person. This was the idea that your father, Manucher, Michael, he didn't reach to this stage. He went another way. He understood that no matter what is the production, what I expect of my children, what they can produce, what they like to do, what are their abilities. He understood that regardless of their abilities, my job is to look at all my children the same and provide the same. Whatever I can, divide it by 4 and provide. And this is what he did. This is what normal families do. In case of my father, he never reached this stage in life. He thought of himself as a pit bull, as a person who is raising pit bulls to fight, for fighting. And he basically said, okay, I can provide this piece of steak, I'm not going to divide it up and be the bad guy. I throw it in and see whichever one you jumps on at first and can beat up the rest of you, I'm good. Somebody jump on that steak and beat off the rest, and so I have done my responsibilities as a father is done. I have provided. How you have provided, how equally you have divided, how responsibly you have dealt with your family, no questions. Who cares? So this is what happened time and time again in our family. On one hand, he threw a piece of, he couldn't afford 3 pieces of steak. Whatever he could afford, he threw it in one piece portions, and the rest of the family had to fight over it. I remember I was 6. I have memories from early on when I was 5 or 6, watching my sister, which at that time was like 17, and my brother, who was 2 years younger than her, like 14, or when she was 18 and my brother was 16, they were fighting tooth and nail. I'm talking about drawing blood every day from each other. Bloody nose, bloody face, scratch mark, kicking and screaming and yelling and kicking and screaming and yelling over what? Over what my father had provided but not distributed evenly, properly, equally. Has basically said, okay, here's the stereo, Vida gets the stereo, my sister gets the stereo, and my brother is sort of like standing in the corner watching, and it's like, what the fuck? Why? Okay, she's got a good mark in math. Well, my math is not good, but technically I'm very good. This was the response of my brother. My math may not be very good, but my science is good. My math may not be good, but technically I'm much better than my sister. Why is it that so much value is given to mathematics and so little value is given to technical abilities? Or why is it that you're just distributing your funds, the family's funds, based on certain abilities that you value, father? This was the basic question of my brother. It's like, why are you distributing funds based on the abilities that you think matter? For example, here's the thing, Stephen. Now, 30 years later, we see what happened. My sister, with so-called abilities in mathematics, about a year or 2 years after she got married, at 31 she got married, at 32, 33, she was basically forced to retire at home, wash dishes, cook, take care of children, and wash their behind. Because her work was not good enough to, earn enough income, so so she can take most of her income and give some of her income to a nanny or a caretaker, somebody to wash and clean and blah blah blah. She wasn't earning that much. That means her abilities, her so-called abilities, which was valued, which we were told that she gets all these presents because of her abilities, because she's getting them as presents, as gifts for her achievements. At the end, we saw what happened to her achievements. Her greatest achievement was reproduction. She produced 3 children. That was her greatest achievement. She didn't have any achievements in architecture. That was her field. Nobody knows her. Not around the world, not in Iran, not even in Tehran. It's like a couple of people, the people who graduated with her might remember that, yeah, she was in our class. So we were told that all the presents and gifts and extra helpings at dinner table is being given to her because she's good, she's got abilities, she's good at mathematics, or she's got accepted in a university, but at the end, nothing came out of it. Right now, at 58, she and her family are living off our family's savings. That the savings that came about by me working, my brother working in the family business, my mother working, all these my father saved as per my sister's recommendation. Whatever he didn't spend on her, he saved, so now he can spend on her and her families. You see where I'm going with this? And based on the same token, my brother who was okay in science, his mathematics was like 14, I don't know, 60, 70 he would get in mathematics. His science was 80, 90, 95. He was good at science and he was good in technical abilities. And based on that, he came over here. My father didn't spend a penny on his education. Not in our household, not when he was in our household, he got presents for anything. Nothing, and no funds, no helping. Once he got to Pakistan, nothing. In France, nothing. He was always begging people for money, working and begging and working and begging, more or less same as me. And even in Canada, nothing, working, begging, until somebody, his wife, he got married and his wife's family paid for his education. What happened? Once somebody was willing to invest in him, he became a dentist. With his science abilities, became a dentist. And then with his technical abilities, he made a fortune out of being a dentist. He made 10 times what my sister has earned all of her life. And it's obvious. You don't divide your funds as a father. You don't divide your funds based on people's abilities, because you don't know what abilities can make more money, because abilities based on the time and the area and the situation is different, and different abilities have the ability of making different kinds of money. You cannot determine whose abilities is better, who's worse, and what is worth investing in, what is not worth investing in. And the whole thing is based on a wrong perception of life. As a father, you're not an investor in your kids. You are an investor, but you can't pick and choose who you invest in. Your father didn't choose to invest in Michael. Based on my father's perception of spending money on kids, I guess Michael should have been, shot in the head and dropped in his grave at age 5, at age 2. As soon as your father figured out he's retarded, he should have shot him. This is how my father's mentality would have resulted in dealing with Michael. It's sort of like, no, I don't believe he's got any abilities. He had nothing. My money is important. Fuck him. Shoot him. Because my father decided that it's a good idea for him to determine his children's abilities and distribute his funds based on his determination. Who the fuck are you? How much do you understand in life? And who the fuck are you to think that different abilities are worth different, can be, the value of different abilities are different? And who are you to determine how much value each ability has? As you can see, at the end, the end result speaks for themselves. My brother who had those abilities that my father didn't value, didn't care for, at least that's what he was telling us. That's the reason he was being so one-sided. he was telling us, I'm distributing my funds one-sided because I think your sister has more abilities. Here's the end result. My brother at age, almost they're the same age, my brother right now can buy and sell 10 of my sister. He can have my sister working for him. You see where I'm going with this? And still continues, and my sister still is able to, rub her cunt on my father and, make him get hard on for her abilities and her children's abilities and extract money out of him. And he's okay with it. Yeah, my daughter had abilities. Now her daughter, what an able person. Khorshid Naderi-Azad. Again, she's being touted as being such an able person. Woof, you don't know. She's got abilities from here to the moon. She just needs funds. Let's grab all the funds that we can. Daddy, give me all your funds that now my daughter needs to be, her ability. She's got abilities. Let's pour money into her abilities. Like the same way my father poured fund into my sister's abilities. At the end, she became a whore for a Muslim guy from God knows what shed hole that she pulled him out of. That's the whole point. That's basically what it resulted in. You have a stupid father who thinks, who didn't go through what your father went through with Michael, and thinks he has the right to distribute whatever funds that he had set aside for his children, distributed unevenly based on his children's abilities, what he perceives at what is good ability and what is a not so valuable ability. So I have the right to distribute my funds unfairly because I believe this ability is much better than the other abilities. Not to mention she's got a nice pussy that I can, grab from time to time. Those boys don't have a pussy. I don't like them. This was our family. And add to that, after years of being treated specially, my sister, after years of Vida Farrokh Nejad being treated special, after a while she actually thinks she's special. Anybody would believe that. After years of being treated special, she believes I'm special. And now she's entitled because she's been treated as a special person all her life by my father. Now she's entitled. Now she even steals. She doesn't believe she's stealing. She believes she's taking what's rightfully hers because she's special. And on the other hand, treating his children as if, he knows that our sister is gonna grab whatever she can. He has given her the right to lock her door and we cannot enter her room. So she grabs whatever she can inside our house, take it to her room and locks it all the time. Her room is locked. So what happens is this aggressive mentality, this pit bull mentality is promoted in our household. It's like you gotta grab it and you gotta be fast and you gotta hold on to it and you gotta fight for it because the scarcity mentality. Because my father was not providing equally amongst his children. So this scarcity mentality that there is not enough, you gotta grab onto it, you gotta hold on to it, you gotta drag it to your room. So if you don't, you're not gonna have any, right? So he promotes this mentality. We all basically become sort of like a pit bullish, bullying like a pit bull, ready to fight like a pit bull. If you encounter my sister, Vida Farrokh Nejad, you will notice she's a pit bull. She's ready to fight. She's very stressed out, very hungry, very vicious, ready to fight, as in and you're like, And you know what happened when she decided to get married? She wanted to get married. Do you think she goes and marries a normal person? No. She's a pit bull. A normal person doesn't want anything to do with a fucking pit bull. An aggressive piece of shit pit bull. Somebody who's ready to, grab people by the ankle, bite people's ass off. Who's ready to get into bed with this piece of shit? Another pit bull. So nobody else accepts to go get in bed with her except another pit bull. And she's also okay with sleeping with a pit bull because she has understood her father has unconsciously brought her up in a mentality that, yeah, pit bull is good. Being stressed out all the time, grabbing, stealing, pushing, bullying is good. So she has grown up like this. So she goes to university. Between the Zoroastrian community, she cannot find a pit bull because Zoroastrian community most of them, they don't raise pit bulls. Most of them understand and divide between their children more or less equally. So they don't raise pit bulls, usually. So she cannot marry within the community because her value system is pit bull is good. She can't find a pit bull in the Zoroastrian community. So she goes and in the university finds the most aggressive, hungry motherfucker that she can find between her classmates and says, oh, I'm in love. I want to marry him. Because he's aggressive, hungry, and ready to grab people, bite people. And now there are two pit bulls. So in a family where when I was 6, she was 18, by the time I reached 18 and was able to push the pit bull back, she goes and marries another pit bull. Now there are two pit bulls. Now I reached the age that now I can bully her and push her back and not let her have my lunch money. She brings another pit bull in. Now there are two pit bull against one. And years ago, my brother, who could have, helped me push the two pit bulls back, years ago my brother had left. He said, fuck this family. I go make my own money. I can't stand this shit anymore. So, by the time I reach the age that I can push her back, she brings another pit bull, and as usual, my father is sitting there holding his nuts and watching. It's like, yeah, I'm watching because this is what I like. I raised a family of pit bulls. It's sort of like he was trying to raise a family of pit bulls, and his prize pit bull is my sister Vida, which which my father likes to show off to his family, his side of the family, his sister's children, that look at my pit bull, look at my pit bull. She's so aggressive, she's reached so high, look at my pit bull. This is my sister. This is the result of this shit that you see, is the result of years of mismanagement of the family, mismanagement of the funds of the family, mismanagement of the raising of the children, raising the mentality of the children, mismanagement of raising the wrong mentality, wrong value system in the children. You have this. At age 58, she grabs all the family. She grabs my father, puts him in her house, and doesn't allow the rest of us to contact him. And he's okay with it. As long as somebody feeds me, I'm okay. I don't want to talk to my other children. She's okay. She feeds me and she takes care of me. Fuck the rest of you. I give all my money to her. And she's locked her up. And as usual, he's free giving to her because he likes her abilities. He thinks her abilities are good. And what I'm doing now is basically speaking up, not for my sake. First of all, I have to get even with my sister's family, with my sister's children. I have to get even. the least I can do is return the favor and make sure everybody knows what a trashy sister I have, what a trashy family she has produced, and what a fucked up asshole my father was. That's the first thing I have to do. The second thing is to prevent other families from making the same mistake. To make sure other children who are 6 right now, 5, 10, 12, and see they're being treated like this, they're being bullied, and their father, their mother, their family are sitting down and watching the child getting bullied by another child who's 13 years, 15 years older and not saying anything. They at least hear this, understand this, and say it's not right. Just get up and go to child care center. Get up and run away from home. Get up and go. Talk to people. Inform people. Because it's not right. This is the end result. The longer you keep quiet, the more of your lunch money is being stolen by the pit bullish people who've been raised in the family of pit bulls.